Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is the Piracy Show. Now, once again, we are replying to questions, comments, and concerns from last week's ship updates. And so, let's get started. Alright, first one, CS Digital Design. 3.0 was not pushed back. It says June 29th like it did before. The only thing they did is, rather than have a hard date, which is unrealistic, they put a window for the release date, June 29th to July 13th, which we all knew would happen anyways. Really tired of so much naysaying coming from this channel. Alright. Alright. Well, let's just dive right in then. Hopefully this isn't going to be one of those shows. But 3.0 is a major undertaking. Okay, it's not simply bringing 3 moons to life. It's populating them. It's creating all this content within those environments. It's bringing online different systems in the game that have not existed before and seeing how they interact with each other in a live environment. So when I'm saying that it's delayed or it's pushed back, it's going to go beyond July the 13th. I mean, my realistic internal expectation is that we're not going to see 3.0 until August, at the earliest. If I was wrong, I would be ecstatic, but I would also be concerned if I was. And the reason is because with all these new things coming online, with these much larger environments and much more populated environments, and all these systems working together in a live environment that have not had to work together with players before, that's a massive undertaking. This isn't naysaying. This is realism. It's sitting there and saying, you know what? I'm excited for the prospect of 3.0, and I'm excited for the features of 3.0, but I realize that this is a major undertaking, and it's going to see delays. When I was saying this in October, that 3.0 wasn't going to hit before December, like it was supposed to, you know, people were saying, oh, you're a naysayer, oh, you're terrible, oh, how do you know this? It's concurrent design teams, they're both working on different things. 2.6 is going to hit in like November, and then 3.0 in December. I was like, no, it isn't. It's not going to hit this year. It's going to take them a long time to build this out. And if you look at all the design briefs and, you know, talking with the Austin office or with Frankfurt and all the things that are going into just this patch, this is a massive patch. I mean, there is no way in hell that if we even got a PTU on the 16th of June, that we would be done by the end of June, or that we would be done by the end of July. There's so much new stuff going into this, and it's such a huge expansion of the universe itself, and not just in terms of play space, but in terms of game systems, that it's going to be a massive undertaking to deliver these things. And to deliver them in a playable state that's worthy of not just a PTU client, but an actual live client. That's going to be a lot of stuff to deal with. And there's going to be a protracted testing period for this patch. It's going to be a big patch. And just acknowledging that isn't naysaying. It's just realism. I'm not saying that CIG is terrible because 3.0 got pushed back. And that's the thing, is when you say something is you know, being delayed, it's not the end of the world. It just means that it's going to take, you know, it's going to take them a longer time to deliver a product that's worthy of live release. And they're putting in as long as like the end result is worth the time that they took to create it, then there's no issue. So, you know, it's not naysaying. It's just being realistic. If you're sitting there and you're thinking that it's going to be delivered by the end of June, or no, it's going to be within this window, it's going to be, then you're going to be disappointed. I'm just being a realist. I'm not saying CIG is terrible because it's not going to happen. I'm saying CIG is working really hard to get this done, and it's a massive undertaking, so expect delays. That's not naysaying, but, you know, let's move on. Alright, next one. Taste the Rambo. Bind culling isn't being included in 3.0 now. The performance is going to be shit now. How long is it going to be delayed? It was supposed to be included in 2.6, yep. 261, 262, yeah. And now they can't even include it in 3.0, which is months away, is mind-blowing. I'm starting to lose my patience with CIG. So for those of you who don't know, and once again, I'm kind of one of those people who doesn't know because networking really isn't my thing, but it has to do with networking performance improvements for players. And I mean, certainly there are issues in the PU right now with networking. You might notice that you have your reticle firmly locked onto to another player's ship and you're shooting at him, but you're mysteriously not hitting him. You know, that happens sometimes a lot more than others. And, you know, there's definitely networking issues with Star Citizen. But I think the expectation that 3.0 is going to see like massive improvements in networking, I don't think so. I mean, once again, to be a pragmatic realist, I don't think the major networking issues are going to be figured out until we have a much larger version of the PU with a lot more people playing in it. I think that in order to really see the problem and see the width and the breadth of the problem and then to come up with a workable solution to that problem, I think they're going to have to see the whole animal, you know? I would liken it to... you know, you get a few blind guys and you ask them to describe an elephant. And one guy's holding the trunk and he says, I think it's a snake. And another guy's holding the leg and he says, I think it's a tree. I don't think until they can see the whole thing, until they're aware of the whole big Star Citizen, like the beast that it is going to be, I don't think that they're really going to make a lot of headway on networking issues until that time. Once again, that's my realistic expectation. So even though I do share your disappointment in the performance of the client, I really do. I really don't think that this is a problem that they're going to solve anytime soon. I'm not, once again, not saying that in a negative way. I'm just saying that the full width and the breadth of the problem is probably not going to be apparent to them until the game is much further along in development and you have a lot more users playing together concurrently in a much larger play area. And I think that's when you're really going to start to see the full, you know, the full nature of the problem, the full scope of the issue, and then they can realistically sit down and belt out a solution to that problem, hopefully. All right, Finn for the win. That's actually like that's a good name. 3.0 pushed to July. Wow, what a surprise. Spoiler, that was not the last delay. True. Yeah. Once again, yeah, I think Gamescom would probably be a more realistic expectation for a full live release of 3.0. Would I be would I be angry if I was wrong and you know, it came out sooner? No, I would be pleased, but my realistic expectation, I set a further date because you know, it helps alleviate the you know, the impatience, and if it ends up being a better product, then so much the better, as long as it's not taking, you know, a lifetime to complete. But yeah, no, I don't think that this is going to be, you know, the widening of the window. I don't think that that window has widened fully yet. I think it still has a ways to go. Once again, not disappointed, just saying. It's going to take a lot longer to deliver so much and such a huge shift in the game and in the game's content. I mean, remember, like, you have these moons. You now have this landing area where you're picking up missions, and then you're going to complete these missions, and you're probably going to be colliding with players who are trying to complete the same mission, and it's going to be over like all these moons, and, you know, landing and smuggling areas and all this stuff. And I mean, realistically, in 3.0, you're going to have to have you're going to have more players in that play area playing together, you know, to populate all that space. And yeah, it's going to take them a while to get this one fully out the door. It's going to be yeah, it's settle in, because we're going to be waiting for a while. Once again, not negative, but it is going to take some time. All right, Neo Onyx, another great show. Thank you. Don't have to apologize for working with the information you have at hand. Here's a speculation question. Do you think the Delta Patcher will be coming out with 3.0? I'm speculating on why the official release date could have been moved, but the PTU date stayed the same. Perhaps we could be testing the functionality for that. Oh god, dude, if the Delta Patcher came out, I would be so over the fucking moon. I would be so happy if because every time a new Star Citizen client comes out, I do a full dry reinstall of the game. I completely delete it and I reinstall the game every time. Mainly because in the past that has proven to fix a lot of my lingering technical issues. So it's kind of a habit I've gotten into, but I would love to be able to download, the next version. Like if I could go to 3.0 and just download the new stuff and not have to replace the old stuff. But once again, I think that the truth is that 2.6, a lot of what we have already is going to be replaced. So I think that we will be downloading basically a full client anyway. I mean, so much is going to change between 2.6 and 3.0 that even if we had the Delta Patcher, I don't think it would come in too handy with the transition from 2.6 to 3.0. I think it's going to be a major transformation, and so we would have to download most of it again anyways. Do I think that it's going to come out? No. I would love for it to. I would desperately want it to, but I don't think so. I think it's going to take a little while longer for them to kind of fully get that up and running. I think we would have heard more about it recently if it was going to be a thing anytime soon. So yeah, I hope we get it this year. That would be my expectation date on the Delta Patcher this year, but I don't think we'll get it for 3.0. I once again, if I am wrong, I am so happy about it, but I don't think so. All right, next up, Tim Tams. It sucks being poor. I only have 5 LTI fighter ships. Someone replies to him, first world problems. Yeah. You know, which fighters do you like, though? Well, I mean, which do you think... Here's a question. Which do you think is the fighter that's you're going to get the most mileage out of? Day in, day out. Your business... This is a question for anyone. Which fighter do you think day in, day out you're going to use the most? Not for personal style, but which one is going to be the most utilitarian, the most useful? The one that has the broadest applications that you're going to get the most mileage out of? Which one? All right, next one. Tom N. At the very least, they should add hangars to the mix of the bases they're building. Yeah, I think that the landing zone that we saw, which was Levski, which, it kind of reminded me of the base, at least like the housing complex part of the base of in Aliens. What was it called? Hadley's Hope, I think. It reminded me of that when I saw it. But yeah, I don't think it's fully fleshed out. But I think it wasn't in the... What was it, in the Gamescom video when we finally saw the Dragonfly and you went down to the planet, that there was an elevator that you lowered your ship into? Like it was a platform and it opened up on the ground and your ship lowered into it. So I think there might be hangars there, but we might not just see them in those shots that they showed. The hangars might be more subterranean. And okay, another comment. Same, Tom N. Agree on base building. I'd love to see smaller space stations. I'd be willing to buy them as concept sales. I think that for a lot of people, that's going to be a very interesting thing. If you can make little trading posts out there, like let's say you're out with a Starfarer and you're constantly hunting fuel and creating fuel, maybe doing a little salvage and whatnot, and then you have a little space station that you can have some automated staff in that could sell that stuff for you, and it could be like attached to an asteroid or something like that. I think that would be really, really cool as a concept sale. I don't know. I think we need to know more about how those stations, like how would you hold on to them? Is it possible that they could change hands either legitimately or by use of force? Because that would be a point of concern if you went out and spent real money on a space station, like even just like a little tiny 2-bit outpost, you know, somewhere where it's just like a landing platform, a signal antenna, and just a little walk around restaurant, you know, sort of like a highway rest stop style idea. I'd be more concerned about, you know, the possibility of someone being able to steal that from you. So it's definitely something that is interesting, but I would want to know more about how all that's going to work before a concept sale, unless it went with a full thing where they're saying this is how it's going to work. Then yeah. But yeah, I think people being able to go out and get their own little space stations or their own little nook and cranny in an asteroid or on a planet's surface, I think that's definitely a cool idea, player housing. Not something that me personally, on my pirate character, I would be looking to do. But yeah, I definitely see the appeal of it. Especially if we can build subterranean bases. That would be, you know, that would just be incredible if they would allow us to do that, because if we could dig into asteroids and stuff. But I mean, I could go on and on about that for hours, so I'll spare you guys that and move on to the next comment. All right, Gamer Max, well, I own an Orion. Does it have landing gear? I didn't know I could land it, and even if you could, it's a big ship, and by the time it goes into production, just like the Merchantman, it will probably get bigger. Generally with the big ships, that's kind of, you know, that's kind of what always happens. They almost always do. Landing ships that aren't aerodynamic isn't going to be easy. Then you need to find a landing spot big enough for something that size, which is an issue. I don't know it wasn't made for that. I think I'd rather keep my Orion in space where it was meant to fly. You know, the Reclaimer was a similar issue because the Reclaimer had the big claw underneath, and so no one kind of really knew how it was going to land or how the landing gear was going to go. And then we saw the pictures of the Reclaimer, and they extended out from the big engine pods. There was like the little landing arms or braces or whatnot, and I think the rear pods as well. So you don't know where they're going to stick it in. I mean, that design could change, you know, for pragmatic reasons, or it could change for, you know, just visual design reasons. But I don't see a huge issue with putting landing gear on it. The big concern for me is the big rotating baskets where you keep all the ore. How are you going to land that ship with all of that on there? I don't know that you can, but maybe those are like collapsible, like they all just kind of collapse inwards to a certain degree when you're not collecting ore, so you can land the ship. Maybe they'll do something like that, or maybe they're removable. Like, who knows? It was kind of like when you see the Hully and you see how it's all aligned with all the boxes and crates all over the place. And a lot of people are like, geez, can you even land that on a planet? I don't think that you can. We'll have to wait and see how that all plays out with the Orion. I'm sure they're going to find a solution for it. But then again, planetary mining could be more the thing of the prospector, right? And whereas like something like the Orion could be more of just a flat out asteroid grinder, you know, something that, you know, kind of works more like realistic mining. Like if you look at gold mining on Earth right now, or any precious metal really, the sheer amount of ore that they have to move through just to get the gold, like what is it, like some mines, it's like 2 tons of ore for like a few grams of gold or something like that. But it's done on such an industrial scale that that's actually profitable. That's what the Orion could be. It could just be like a mass miner that you look at an asteroid and the asteroid's got like less than 1% platinum content in it, but it's like 700,000 tons of rock, so that's still a significant amount of platinum. And the Orion is meant to just kind of go in and just eat that whole thing up. So I think it's more of a spaceborne ship. At least that's the way I see it. Whereas the prospector is more like going in and finding those rich veins and just taking those out and leaving, you know, the detritus behind. But yeah, so I don't know. It depends what kind of ship the Orion's going to be, and what they plan to do with it when they put it in production. All right, next comment. The Canadian Will. Whenever I hear you say that you like bases that can be built of hidden or into asteroids or planets, all I hear is I want a safe zone because people are going to be hunting me 24/7 for being a pirate. I'm cool with your idea as long as we can find it and destroy your base when we find it, lol. Well, that's going to be a problem because I'm not going to build a base. The only safe space is deep space. To be perfectly honest, when I plan to play in Star Citizen, when I'm playing on my pirate, my ship is probably going to be somewhere way the hell out there behind an asteroid somewhere, sitting in a almost completely powered down state with just passive sensors on, waiting for a spotter to tell me I found a target, or I found this target, or I found that target. Then it's going to be power up, surge out, get the Herald in there, jam those distress signals, get in, charge in, take the target down, take the cargo, and then disappear back into deep space. Now, certainly people have, I speak with people. People have been in contact with me and in contact with my org and whatnot. And there are certainly arrangements forming in regards to bases and things like that, and discussions of that nature, which are none of my business to discuss. But for me, the most important things is that occasionally I have a landing zone that I can hit for repairs and refuel and rearm where and when it's necessary. But for the large part, I plan to rest in deep space, in the most out of the way and inconvenient places in solar systems. I don't ever plan to build a base ever, because I don't think that it would ever be safe. So yeah, no, I don't think. I mean, I do understand the attraction for people to build bases. I certainly do build a base in Ark, and I enjoy it. But in terms of piracy, I think that for practical reasons, it doesn't make any sense to build a base, because once again, that's just when you're a pirate, you have to be able to move from system to system to system. You have to be agile. You have to be mobile, and building a base tethers you to a place that you have to defend. And I don't think that makes any logistical sense as a pirate. Certainly, in discussions with other pirates, and not just those that in my org, or the org that I'm a member of. A lot of us tend to focus on the vagabond lifestyle, on being mobile, on almost being the equivalent of a mobile caravan that really never stays in one place for any period of time. That's just constantly moving from here to there to the next place. So yeah, so a base is, for me, as a pirate, is totally out of the question. It would just never make sense for me logistically. Alright, Damiv Psychochild. FYI, the Valiant has the exact same hard points as the base Gladius, just a different loadout. The stats page are wrong. I think, if I remember correctly, the Valiant just carries the full missile loadout that the Gladius has the potential to do. If I remember correctly, that was the difference, but I'm not too sure, because the Gladius was something that I was initially very interested in, but my enthusiasm on it waned somewhat, and recently it hasn't been as mobile in my experience as it was initially, so I'm not really a big fan of the current iteration of the Gladius, though I hope that it will be fixed in the future. Nate the Great. The Prospector is on schedule to be finished today. Yeah, I'm really interested to see how the Prospector, once again, like I was talking about the Orion before, I'm really interested to see how the Prospector is going to play out. And I think that once we get a deep dive article or another deep dive article on mining, and more like, you know, because the one that we got is like, I think a couple of years old now. I would like to see a more updated current version or vision of what mining is going to be in the Star Citizen universe. I think obviously the Prospector, once we get our hands on it, is going to illuminate that a lot. And so yeah, I'm very interested to see how that plays out. All right, XHammy. So I guess our 3.0 light is getting lighter. Yeah. Obviously, you know, there was going to be some culling that happened to deliver, and I mean, I think people are disappointed that certain things are being dropped from 3.0 only to be picked up later at a later date. But I think that 3.0, I mean, obviously, you know, trucking around on moons and, you know, driving, you know, having all this new content around, it's basically, once again, it's building out that framework for a much larger expansion to be fleshed out at a later date. It's disappointing, but it's not to be unexpected, right? You know, that's it. You know, it's. I know I've dwelled on this topic enough, making this video, and certainly, you know, it is a repeated theme. But yeah, I mean, to deliver on the grand scale of Star Citizen, obviously it's going to take a lot of time, and you know, as backers, we have to, you know, sit back and be patient with that. But at the same time, I think we have to apply a reasonable amount of pressure to make sure things get done in a reasonable amount of time. But yeah, I think with the grand scale of expansion that we're going to get in 3.0, just in our little play area that we have now, you know, things might get culled to be revisited at a later time as they try to get a laser focus on the absolute must-haves for every patch. I mean, you always look at software releases as there are the must-haves, the would-be nices, and then a third category, which is, you know, well, this is how I relate to it, is if dreams came true. And certainly at work, that's how I relate things. It's like, what are your must-haves, what are your would-be nices, and what would be your if dreams came true? And I always try to focus on delivering on the must-haves first, and then I try to get in one or two would-be nices, and sometimes, if I can, I try to get in if dreams come true. But sometimes, you know, reality, you know, comes crashing down on you, and you just gotta say you're getting your must-haves, and that's it. And you know, this probably is one of those situations, because things are getting really tight as we move towards the delivery window. Oh man. And so I think we're going to get our must-haves, and we're going to get a few would-be nices with this, but I don't think it's going to be like, oh my god, you know, we're getting the full planetary city of Area 18. It's going to be amazing. No. Procedurally generated cities are ways off yet. So yeah, it's not the end of the world, but we're going to get a lot of cool shit to play with, hopefully this summer. All right, our graceful. Nice. Friday with Minion. Thank you. You know, it's always nice to get the compliments, and especially like, you know, the people who compliment me, you know, over Spectrum or over the old forums and whatnot, and send me, you know, little notes of encouragement and whatnot. It's always appreciated, and thank you very much for that. The more negative messages, you know, and we can do without, you know. And though at times they are spectacularly hilarious, though. You know. So yeah. But thank you very much. Dead Lung, I made it. I'm not to see the video, or I'm not quite sure. Context. I would need a little bit more context, but congratulations. And finally, XHammy. Oh shit, I did not hear about the 3.0 3.0's pushback. It meant, I mean, it was guaranteed, sure, but I did not hear about it. Yeah, that's kind of the funny thing is, like, you know, people's reaction to it, certainly on Reddit and on the forums, was like, we all knew this was going to happen, though, right? And it's like, yeah, everybody knew. I mean, even up at the front of the show, you know, when they're talking about my negativity and whatnot, they're like, it just, the window just moved back to July the 13th, and we all knew it was going to happen anyway. It's like, everybody knows it's going to be delayed. Everybody already knows. I mean, it's it's like, oh, by the way, I looked outside the window and the sky was blue. Everybody knows that it's going to take, you know, CIG is going to have delays delivering on something so big. It's not a surprise. It's the way it is, you know. Water is wet, the sky is blue. CIG takes their time with big expansions. It's the way the world is, you know. You can't fight the tide, man. You can only learn to swim. Anyways, that's the show for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.
Quantum travel initiated.